wonders who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Well, happy DragCon, everybody.
It's here. I can't believe it.
Mm-hmm. That is the dulcet tones of James St. James.
Yes.
Yes, you're going to be at DragCon, aren't you, James?
I am. I've been preparing for months now. I have new merchandise. I have we'll talk about it later.
Okay, very good. And also standing in for Tom Camel is Blake.
Hi, guys.
Our millennial producer. Don't you age out of being a millennial producer?
I think I'm the last year
You're the
of
last.
a millennial.
I think you're a boomer. I think you are complete.
How dare you?
And I'm Fender Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder. We are doing what we normally do on a Friday, which is counting down the top 10 things that made us go, wow. So without further ado, number 10, James.
Number 10.
I get to be number 10.
You're number 10.
I've never been number 10 before. This is a whole new world. I'm very excited. I know everyone in the world has talked about it, and it's been everywhere, and blah, blah, blah. And we talked about it last week, but I need to talk about the Game of Thrones finale, even though neither of you watch it.
I watched my first episode of Game of Thrones, which was the last episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh, well, I don't know that you can do that. I don't know that that's allowed.
Did it.
I think a lot of people are very frustrated with how it ended, and there were a lot of moments that didn't quite add up, and it was people were bitching about it everywhere on Twitter and social media.
But wasn't that going to happen regardless?
Well, it was going to happen, but I think it speaks to a larger issue in America right now, where I think that everybody is frustrated with the way the Mueller report has rolled out. They're frustrated with Congress not kicking ass the way that we wanted them to. We're frustrated that Trump isn't complying with subpoenas. There's just a frustration in the air with everything that's happening, and I think it
So blame Game of Thrones.
So,
right?
Yeah, so exactly. So I think that we're frustrated with everything, and Game of Thrones is the thing that we can blame it on and bitch about. There were a number of things that were just flat out stupid, where Tyrion is wandering through the rubble of King's Landing.
And who's Tyrion?
Tyrion is the dwarf. He's the
Peter
Dinklage,
yeah.
And he is his brother and sister are the lovers, Cersei and Jaime, and he's walking through the rubble, and he sees the rock, and he pushes it aside, and he finds their dead body. And it's like, really, of all the rubble and all of King's Landing, you're going to find your dead body.
Right.
Yeah.
Is King's Landing a city? Or?
It's the city that the dragon destroyed. The Mad Queen, she went bananas and destroyed the entire city, killing hundreds of thousands of people.
That's played by Maisie.
Not even close.
Oh, okay. Who's
That's
the Mad Queen?
Amelia Clark.
Amelia
right?
Clark, who
God,
plays Daenerys.
Okay.
And there's all sorts of other things, like if Bran the Broken is all-knowing and all-seeing, why does he need a Master of Whisperers? What is that all about? What is that all about?
Well, I'll tell you.
What?
I don't know.
Okay. Why does there need to be a Night's Watch? Why was Jon sent up to the Night's Watch if we've destroyed all the White Walkers? I mean, what is that all about? But the big story here is that Robin Aaron, who was the creepy little boy in season 1 who was suckling his mother's teat when he was 9 years old, and it was just one of those moments that was like, what the fuck is this show about? This is just creepy and wrong. Yeah. Well, now in the last episode, he comes back and he has had a glow up. He Neville Longbottomed, and he is the hottest thing. He is boy band good looking now.
So he hasn't been on the show for this whole time.
No. All of a sudden, he was 9 years old, and now he's 19, and he comes back, and he looks like Dustin Romero, sort of, a guy who used to work here. But his name is Lino Facioli, I think is his name. He's an Italian actor. Just hot.
What does he do?
Well, now he's the lord of the area, of course.
Of course.
But he said he's given interviews to TMZ and to People Magazine, and he's talked about how his social medias have blown up, and he's starting to get offers left and right from everyone in Hollywood. And it's just sort of like a good story that this kid who was I'll show you. As a matter of fact, I have a picture of him right.
A visual aid.
Yeah, he was a creepy little kid.
Right.
And then now he's just, oh my God.
Is it the same guy?
Yeah.
But what about this whole thing about people so unhappy they wrote a petition to reshoot, rewrite, redo the entire season.
Well, that's just ridiculous. Like it's really going to happen. Just, and it's like, just write some fanfic like everyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Like I didn't like the 2002 Bewitched remake. But
Exactly. So what are you going to do? You're going to petition Hollywood to remake it again?
Right.
Yes. No, that's silly. And the fact of the matter is it really did. It hit all the right notes. Everything. It connected all the dots. Everything that had to happen happened. But it just the whole season was rushed, and there was some of the writing was a little off. So.
Because they went beyond the Martin text, right?
Yeah. Well, they did that starting season 4. They only got 4 seasons before it.
And what does the writer of the books think about that?
Well, he doesn't give a fuck. He's like 10 years. He was supposed to deliver this book 10 years ago. He still has writer's block. He doesn't know what's going on. And I don't think he'll ever finish the books, ever. So, anyway. So.
I thought it was painful watching. And
okay.
But have you watched every episode?
Yes, I have. And I
and why should we watch every episode?
Because it really is. It's a series that it has a larger scope than anything that has ever been on television.
Okay, what is that?
Well, you end up knowing thousands of characters, backstories of hundreds of years of this country, of this imaginary world in which all the different lands. Every season you learn new countries sprout up, and you learn nothing like this has ever been done on television. The money that they've poured into it, the storytelling, everything about it is done on such a magnificent level that in the battle scenes, I've told you, are better than Lord of the Rings, better than Saving Private Ryan, Saving Band of Brothers. I mean, it's better than anything that has ever been filmed before.
And what about, it just seems to be about incest, right?
Well, there is some incest in there, and that's sort of hot. Okay. And there is some there's some gays, and there's some
gays.
There's a little bit of everything in there for you if you whatever you're into. There's some dragon loving.
I just thought it was funny when the dragon melted down the throne. I was like, that is what we've been this whole thing, and they melt it in the end. No one gets to sit on the freaking throne.
Well, it's interesting too because then the dragon takes his mother and flies off with her.
Mother?
Yeah, she's the mother of dragons.
Okay.
She is the Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea. She's Daenerys the Unburnt. She's Stormborn. She's the leader of the first men of the Andals. Every time you talked. Oh, no, I'm going off of it. But you talked about how in that first episode when she's raped and that was a bit much for you and you had to stop. But you have to go through everything that she goes through so that by the time she starts taking over these countries and she amasses this army and she has these dragons and she keeps adding new names and new titles to herself and she becomes the most powerful woman the world has ever seen, Westeros has ever seen, that you have been with her on this journey since she was broken.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I feel
Game of
strongly
Thrones.
about this.
I think that's a fitting tribute to Game of Thrones.
I do too.
Number 9.
Number 9.
We've talked about this before. This is a repeat show in some ways. We've talked about this before. But it was the opening last week of the Statue of Liberty Museum on Liberty Island. And very honored and surprised to actually get an invitation to go.
Well, of course you were going to go. I mean, what was that? You did the freaking HBO documentary.
Yeah, we made a documentary.
You really thought you were going to be snubbed.
Bookended. Well, I don't know that. Okay, 600 people thought I might get an invitation. Great. But it turns out we were actually sat at Jan von Furstenberg's table.
That's awesome.
Which was awesome because there was Mayor Bloomberg and there was Seth Meyers.
Did you try and talk Mayor Bloomberg out of running? Did you say anything to him?
No, not really. And then at the table across was Barry Diller, Oprah Winfrey, and Hillary Clinton.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Andy Cohen was there and went off with Gail about halfway through because he had to go do his show. But Oprah gave the most moving, rousing speech. And it wasn't just a speech about liberty. It wasn't just a pat speech about building bridges versus building walls, which is obviously she touched upon that point. Who wouldn't? But it was very much, James, a call to action. It was very much like, it felt like Oprah 2020.
Yes, I have heard that afterwards everyone was saying that she is a shoo-in for...
She has to run. I mean, Dion called me the next day and was like, she has to run.
Dion called me the next day to talk about Oprah.
Oh, I was asleep. It's just like, because when she calls, the great thing about her is she calls, and the calls are very brief. They're very direct. They're very to the point. She just said, she has to run. It's not a matter of choice. She has to run and going now, bye. Probably to go and talk to Oprah and tell her that she has to run. And I think, because she said, DVF said, she is the only person who can beat Trump, which
Well,
is,
I don't know that she's the only person.
Well, it certainly isn't. Who else?
Well, I would prefer, I would like it to be Biden Buttigieg, but
Yeah.
I think, but I want Biden to come in for 4 years, just 4 years, clean up the mess, and then hand over the reins to his vice president.
Biden of the creepy hair smelling. You think you can get past that?
He's 30 points ahead of Bernie now at this point.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody who's even coming close.
Blake is very engaged with this subject. I know. Well, okay, so it was a great evening, and it was great to be there with the statue in the museum. Is spectacular. It's a fantastic sort of immersive film. The museum now has been moved from inside the pedestal of the statue to outside, and what that means basically is anyone who goes to the island can now visit the museum, whereas before you'd have to buy a ticket. And long story short, it was very congested.
And you still can't get into the Statue of Liberty? Like, it's still a hard...
You still have to book a ticket months in advance. I think they let a few people up per day, but it's in the hundreds as opposed to, I think, something like 5,000 people a day now will go to the statue. So it's extraordinary how increasingly popular it becomes. I guess as it just becomes this worldwide symbol. Although Seth Meyers had a brilliant description of the Statue of
Watch out for dropping names.
He said, what did he say? You have to be him, but he said the thing about Statue of Liberty, it looks like she's holding a Starbucks, hailing a taxi with an expression that says she's over it. And that's it, right? That pose is
funny.
Holding a Starbucks, hailing a taxi, I'm over it.
Now, also at this party was one of my great icons, one of the people that I love more than anything in the world, Anduang, the artist.
Anduang sat next to Anduang. What do you know?
You sat next to her?
Sat next to Anduang, who is an amazing person. She's, she lives the life of an artist, but she does so many different things. She paints, which she has for many, many years been the muse of many a painter, many an artist. And at one point, I think she just realized I should become my own muse.
And she paints herself over and over and over and over again. And they're fascinating and they're beautiful. And they look a bit like Francesco Clemente. I wonder if she was maybe
and the reason she was there is she designed the stars on the wall that is the donors wall that DVF came up with, which was a device to raise $100 million by very simply selling people like Jeff Bezos, who was there too, and Bloomberg and Apple, selling them a star for $2 million a piece.
And she
stars.
made $100 million.
That's how you build a museum.
Crazy.
But it was on. Is she nice? Is she engaging? Is she funny? Is she fun?
Lovely and so yes, she is
and she's
amazing.
just chic as all get out. Isn't
Oh my
she?
God!
Yes,
incredibly chic. But we were all sat. She was between me and Randy. We were all sat in the front row, and you just want to sort of jump around and take selfies, like, hi,
well,
Hillary.
That's what I'm mad. I'm so mad that you didn't get a best selfie.
So pathetic. I failed because it just felt like this wasn't
the place to do it.
I just felt I had to sit on my hands and remain calm when I just really wanted to sit
they're,
there and shriek.
Yeah, they say that the chicest parties are the ones where you have to check your phone in and you aren't allowed to do
that's
selfies.
Like when Courtney Love came into the office. I wanted to die, but I couldn't.
You can't. You just
didn't die.
Yeah.
You didn't die. And then Tony Bennett performed, and literally he was right there, Blake. As close as you and I are right now, we were sprayed. Randy and I both got sprayed with his saliva.
He touched Amy Winehouse.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
And there's the millennial connection.
The other thing Seth Meyers said, and this is another reason we were there, is they played a clip from the film. As part of the celebration. And Seth Meyers introduced it, James, by saying that now that HBO, to fill the void left by Game of Thrones, HBO has commissioned a documentary about a statue. So that was that. Yeah. And finally, I mean, it was an amazing evening. But then, of course, the only way on or off the island is by the ferry operated by the park services. So it's not like you can get a luxury private yacht and dock. Everybody had to get on the same ferry. And I think it was reported the morning after someone quipped, if someone non-famous quipped, if the ferry goes down, I will not be remembered. So that was my evening. Yeah, me and Randy had a great time at the Statue of Liberty. Thank you, DVF. Thank you, the Statue of Liberty Ellis Island Foundation. It was just one of those like, oh my God, pinching yourself that really happened. And watch out for Liberty Mother of Exiles. It airs on HBO in the fall, and you can get a little glimpse of it if you get the app. There's a Statue of Liberty app that's launched, and the very first time you get the app, it'll play the first 15 seconds of the film.
Well, we put that on the WoW Report as well.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good. And you can watch the trailer as well.
Yeah.
So that's good. Okay, number 8, Blake.
Number 8.
Number 8. I'm gonna keep this pretty brief, but have y'all watched Paradise Hotel?
This is just the biggest piece of trash ever.
It is the trashiest TV, but I freaking love it.
Of course.
Now, it's not to be confused with Temptation Island, which came first.
Right. Or X on the Beach. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Well, this one, Temptation Island, was where couples were paired with other couples and like tempted to whatever. This one
fornicate.
Right. This one is all singles, and there's one odd man or woman out, and whoever isn't paired up at the end of the episode.
Whoever doesn't fornicate, whoever doesn't have sex is what it is. And how can they do that in this day and age?
Well,
it's just
I think the reason
shocking.
that it came back is because
James St. James, shocked and appalled.
Right.
I am.
Well, I think the reason it came back is because of that whole Bachelor in Paradise thing.
That's right, because it used to be on the air, right?
Right.
As a format, and then it went away.
It debuted in 2003,
Okay.
hosted by Amanda Byram.
Yeah,
She's British.
Yeah,
She also did The Swan.
I love the Swan.
Well, now it's hosted.
They should bring the Swan back, right?
They should. Well, now it's hosted by Kristin Cavallari, who I'm.
You are obsessed with Kristin Cavallari.
Love her
yes.
show, very Cavallari. Loved her on The Hills. She was just amazing. But I just read that it's not doing that good in the ratings.
Well, because it's just trash. It's just horrible.
It was on the air Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and now they've pulled it to just Thursdays and moved up the So You Think You Can Dance.
So just to recap here, it's people and they go to an island and they have sex with each other on camera.
Sounds fine, right?
No,
just another afternoon, James and James.
So that's but you can watch it on Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Fox.
Reality shows have been coming in for a bit of stick lately because there've been some unfortunate incidents, like in Britain, a Jeremy Kyle show. Did you ever watch the Jeremy Kyle show? It was a sort of Jerry Springer-like talk show, and one of the participants topped himself after watching it. After participating in it.
That sounds like the
they
Jenny Jones thing too from back in the day.
Yeah. What show was that?
Jenny Jones, it was like
Jenny Jones, yeah.
Yeah, she had a contestant that came out and said that he had a crush on this guy from school.
Oh, right.
And then
The gay rage.
Right.
Gay. What is it? Gay something.
Sure, gay rage.
Gay rage or
yeah.
not? Yeah, okay. Okay, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with the top 10 things that make us go, wow. You're listening to The Wow Report on Radio Andy, SiriusXM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Hey, welcome back to The Wow Report. I'm Fenton Bailey. I'm here with Blake, standing in for Tom.
Hi.
And James.
And me.
We've been counting down top 10 things that make us go,
Wow.
wow. We've reached number 7. James.
Number 7.
Number 7, I watched a really bizarre documentary on voodoo. I'm back to voodoo again.
I thought you meant the subject was voodoo.
No. It's the movie channel Voodoo. Which,
Right.
VUDU. Yes, I'm a voodoo queen. It's called The Women He Undressed, and it's about Orry Kelly, the great Warner Brothers costume designer in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Australian, yes. And, you think about the great costume designers of the past, and you think Edith Head, you think Adrian, and Orry Kelly doesn't really always get, he gets a little short shrift, I guess, is what it is. This was, he did Betty Davis. He did all of Betty Davis's outfits at Warner Brothers. He did Casablanca. He did Some Like It Hot, Marilyn Monroe. He did Gypsy and Auntie Mame and American in Paris. He did a lot of really, really iconic movies.
Did he have a look?
Like Edith had it was MGM and Adrian was in MGM, and they did glamour. They did but he was more known for sort of like street looks and for
character acting.
Yeah, well, Betty Davis was always in suits, and Joan Rivers, Joan Crawford was always in suit, the big mannish suits and everything like that. So he was sort of known for that, for like day looks. The big story here is that he was lovers with Archibald Leach back in New York when Archibald Leach was a male prostitute. This was back in the 20s. And then they both moved out to Hollywood together, and Archibald Leach, of course, changed his name to Cary Grant.
Oh, stop.
Yes.
Cary Grant was not a rent boy.
He was. He was well known for being a rent boy. It's very famous. It's true. And they were
you were there.
they were lovers, and then they didn't speak to each other once they came out to Hollywood, and Orry Kelly sort of rose up through the ranks, and Cary Grant became more and more famous until the 1950s. They worked again, and they were on the set together, and Cary Grant looked over to Orry Kelly and said, "Queer," and everyone was like shocked, and it was like this big scandal because like he called him out for being gay when he had been gay himself, and it was
Oh wait, so Cary Grant de-gayed?
Cary Grant de-gayed once he became famous, and he married Barbara Hutton. Barbara Hutton, who was the heiress. Cash and Carey, they were called. Anyway, and then he married Diane Cannon late in life.
Who was the one that de-gayed? Was that Colton Haynes? And then he did come out recently. Remember? There was like the hot young gay that was in XY magazine or everything.
Oh, well, yeah, Colton Haynes. Yeah, he did.
But he denied it, and then he finally came out.
Yeah. So it's sort of a situation. Cary Grant and Colton Haynes, two peas in a pod, exactly the same story.
That's what I thought.
The way the documentary is filmed is very odd, too. They have a bunch of really great talking heads, Jane Fonda, Angela Lansbury, a bunch of people are talking about Orry Kelly. But then they also have these reenactments in which there's an actor playing Orry Kelly, and he's like on a rowboat the entire time telling the story, saying, and then I went, blah, blah, and it like doesn't make any sense. And then like his mother is like hanging laundry, and she's talking about her son, and it just, the whole thing is sort of odd and wrong.
I don't really like reenactments.
No. It ruins the whole thing. And it's strange because the documentary is really fascinating, and I suggest you watch it. And I know that you're a big fan of costume designers because you did Hollywood Fashion Machine.
Hollywood Fashion Machine. Yeah. I love the title. Like, why is it called Women He Undressed?
Well, because he dressed them, and then I guess he would undress them. I don't know.
So it doesn't deliver on any
No.
Well, that's Watch Women He's Undressed on... Oh, you can watch it on YouTube, Amazon Prime, Google Play, Vudu, and iTunes.
Well, there you go.
Oh, my God, it's everywhere. James, this is really for you. Number 6.
Yes. Number 6.
I was in New York because I was there at the Statue of Liberty.
Where did you stay?
Oh, I stayed at the Maritime, where I've stayed since before it even opened. I went to the Met to see the fashion show. So every year we have the Met Ball, and everybody gets very excited about the red carpet and the celebrities on the red carpet and the theme. Oftentimes, it seems like the exhibition gets sort of short shrift, gets overlooked. Mm-hmm. And the exhibition is obviously based on, well, not obviously, but it's based on camp. Susan Sontag's Notes on Camp, her very famous 1964. Yes, I think you're right, 1964 essay. And so this is the exhibition. So I went to see the exhibition.
Who are some of the designers that are featured?
Actually, one of the designer, the designer who's all over the show, and probably rightfully so, but it just seems a little top heavy, is Jeremy Scott of Moschino. I mean, multiple outfits, maybe I would say more than any.
And can I just say this? Because I like Jeremy. I'm a fan. I'm a friend of Jeremy's, and I'm a fan of his. But he's a little more kitsch than he is camp.
Well, I think herein lies the fundamental problem of doing. I mean, I like bright, shiny objects, and I love anything camp. I was like bees to honey when they announced the theme. I thought this would be the most exciting thing, but it is truly a problematic sensibility to pin down. And in fact, you're looking at this exhibition, and all you're really doing, whether you're camp or not, is basically picking holes in it and picking it apart, saying, well, no, that's not really camp. That's more kitsch. That's more surreal. That's more this.
Well, because I was just going to say probably like a Schiaparelli might fit more into it.
There might have been one or two. That was the extraordinary thing. I mean, okay, I'm partial, and you may disagree with me here, but I thought it was surprising there was nothing about Drag Race, nothing that RuPaul had won. I feel.
Do you think that
Is it
RuPaul
not?
is her outfits are camp? Her outfits are glamour. There's nothing camp about what RuPaul wears.
What about?
Well, yeah.
I
No,
love.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not disparaging her.
No. I totally, and I'm
Yeah.
not taking it as disparagement, but isn't the whole Drag Race concept fundamentally?
But is drag? I don't think drag is camp anymore. I think drag is too commercialized to be camp.
well,
I think that drag in the 70s was camp. I think drag maybe even in the 80s, but I don't even think so in the 80s. I think that the Candy Darlings and the Jackie Curtises were camp.
You know, Vegas. I would say Vegas is quite camp.
Yeah.
And when the Cosmopolitan opened, their slogan, the Cosmopolitan Casino, was just the right amount of wrong. And I thought for a long time, well, that's quite a good definition of camp. But then I realized, actually, it should be the wrong amount of right and wrong. That camp has to be an outlier, or somehow it can't be assimilated.
Well,
and
no, but wait a minute, hold on, because I disagree with that just one second, because I think that something like Christian Lacroix would be camp because it is so over the top and done in such in that there's that kind of camp that is over the top, but then there's also the camp that tries and fails.
Yeah.
And that's the outlier stuff, I think.
Well, I do think it's this ever-shifting sensibility, which is perhaps why Susan Sontag couldn't write not a coherent essay, but a narrative piece, and it was just ended up being a bunch of Post-it notes.
Well, but that's academia. That's how they do it.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Exit through the gift shop. You would think that they wouldn't be able to get it wrong with the merch, but that's where I actually felt they failed the loudest. There's a camp bandana multicolored scarf for $125. Camp coasters. Camp lipstick pen. Faux fur zip pouch.
Well, maybe this is
Excess and exaggeration double wrap bracelet. It was like
that, but that
Susan.
is,
I could see Susan Sontag spinning in her grave.
But that is that idea that it's something that's so bad that it's good, and that it tries and it fails, and that is a separate kind of camp.
Well, what did you buy?
I bought the catalog, of course. I'm lazy, so I ordered it on Amazon, so I didn't have to carry it home.
Good idea.
And I have to say, the catalog again, it's like, I mean, Pierre and Gilles. Do you remember the Pierre and Gilles book that came out in 2000s? Mm-hmm. It was sort of quilted, bound in plastic, very camp. And I feel that they've taken a page out of that book, because this is beautifully bound in pink pleatherette with gold filigree. But then it becomes this sort of bizarre thing. You open it up, and it's sort of notebooks and printed on onion paper. And the whole thing is like so complicated and so sort of, is it trying too hard or something? I don't know. But the catalog experience was deeply frustrating. I mean, I'll put it on the bookshelf and it'll be a thing that I keep.
Right, yeah.
But it wasn't something that I really wanted to dive into because it was so sort of unwieldy. I don't know. I just think camp is. I thought it was really. The piece that was really fascinating. The whole exhibition that really fascinated me was the first piece, and everyone seems to like the first piece, which is a sort of prehistory of camp, which is this contrapposto position, which is when the model is standing on one leg, kind of like leaning a little bit, and it's seen as this very psychologically intimate, sensual pose, as seen in a lot of classical statues. It's called contrapposto, and that's considered to be the beginning of camp. And then you've got Molière and the French expression se campa, which is to flaunt or to posture. And then you have Oscar Wilde. And I thought all this was fascinating. And you get up to 64, which is Andy Warhol, which I think is really the ultimate of camp. And I think the show should have stopped there. I think they shouldn't have bothered to try go beyond Susan Sontag's essay and beyond 1964. Because it's just you end up in this quagmire of, is it kitsch, is it camp, etc. Yeah. Are you going to go see that? You should go see the show, James.
I haven't been to the costume exhibit in years. I always enjoy it, but I haven't either. It's been so many that I wanted to see the Alexander McQueen. I wanted to see. I mean, there have been so many that I've missed, and it breaks my heart.
Well, turn over a new leaf when you get to the bottom of this page, as Oscar Wilde famously said. Number
5.
Thank you.
Number 5.
I wanted to talk a little bit about some summer music.
Yeah.
two of my favorite artists have released new albums recently. MARINA.
No, Marina, formerly
known as Marina and the Diamonds. She's Marina Diamanda. She's a Greek girl, and her previous albums have been like Fruit and Electra Heart. This one's a little different. It's a two album, like 2 sides, 8 tracks each, Love plus Fear. And she named it that because of the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross theory that humans are only capable of experiencing the normal.
Elizabeth Kubler-Ross also is the 4 stages of death, or
Well, I'd never heard this before.
Wait,
so.
2 emotions ever, or 2 emotions at once?
They're just the only 2 emotions that that humans are capable of experiencing:
is
love and fear.
Huh.
Yeah.
Got
And
me.
I really love the Fear album more. I don't know if that says anything about me, but
What about Joy?
Well, I think that probably falls into
under
like,
love.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll have to. We'll have to.
Anger.
dive
What
into
about
that.
frustration? What about
Hatred.
From fear comes anger, hate, anxiety, and guilt.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, and here from love flows happiness, contentment, peace, and joy. There you go.
Okay.
So she'll be at the Greek on October 4th. I'll totally be there. Get the album.
Have you seen her before?
I have seen her. It was amazing at the Greek. And then the second person, Carly Rae Jepsen. Have you ever listened to?
Love you some Carly Rae Jepsen, don't
I do.
you?
Is
are
that
one-
Call Me Maybe?
Call Me Maybe. But she released after that one of the best pop albums of all time called Emotions.
And this is something that WeHo queens go bananas for.
Yeah, she's like a pop underdog. Like
But
she had
the gays love her album.
Carly Slay Jepsen is what they call her.
Man.
She has a new album out called Dedicated. I love almost every track on it. Track number 4 is my favorite. Jack Antonoff helped to write it.
I do love a good Jack Antonoff, did he?
Yeah, and I've heard. Well, let's see.
Who's Jack Antonoff?
Well, he was part of Fun, and then he was Lena Dunham's boyfriend.
And then Blender or Bleachers.
Bleachers. He did Bleachers, which
But
really
now
good
he's
stuff.
just like writes like Lana Del Rey.
He
and
did that really great song for Lord, Greenlight. Remember?
Greenlight, yeah. So, and she actually has. So she released Emotion, and then like a year later released the B-side, Emotion B-sides. So she's written like 200 tracks for this new album.
Wow.
So hopefully we'll get another B-side album from Carly Rae.
Can I talk a little bit about the summer songs that I'm excited for?
Yes, ma'am.
I really love that Jonas Brothers album. I'm really going bananas for it.
Right.
The Sucker song is fantastic, but have you heard Cool?
I do like Cool.
Cool is their new hit single, and it's going to be the big summer song, I think, and it's absolutely fantastic. I also like that Lana Del Rey cover of the Sublime
yeah.
song, where she's talking about, me and my girl,
it
we got this relationship.
Is
and
it summertime?
Summertime and the living's easy,
Yeah.
yeah. And she doesn't bother to change the she to a he, so it's about her lover, her female lover, and it's
I love that.
It's
I love when
so good.
Yeah, that's
Love
awesome.
when what? Girls Go Lesbian?
Yeah, well, I just love whenever they play with the genders. Like Prince would do that a lot. It feels like. But so Carly Rae Jepsen is her album Dedicated is on iTunes.
I think we'd moved on from Carly Rae.
Well, her tour closes August 10th and 11th at the Wiltern, and I'll be there.
We have to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue counting on the top 10 things that made us go, wow, this week with a special sneak peek of RuPaul's DragCon. Woo. Stay tuned.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Hey, welcome back. I'm Fenton. I'm here with Blake and James. Tom is away on a top secret mission this week. Actually, it's not top secret. I'll tell you exactly what he's doing. We're taping the RuPaul talk show. RuPaul.
yeah.
For test run on Fox.
I
in
heard it
June.
went really well,
Amazing.
and he just knocked it out of the park
I know, I
and
heard
did it.
they blow through them.
Yeah.
Blow through it. And
Yeah.
Ru says, this is what I was born to do. All his skill sets come together
Right.
on the set of a daytime talk show like none other. I mean,
Wow.
he's just transcendent.
I
you
hope
know.
people love it.
I do too. I wonder if I can say James Corden was on the first episode, and he's just amazing. Amazing love. You just want to rush out and hug him.
Love it. He had carpool karaoke, and RuPaul had Ru Drive. So
Okay.
no
All right.
connection.
Right. Next, number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Okay, what's number 4, James?
Well, I'm sorry to shock everybody, but I have a story that we need to talk about. There was a gentleman in New Delhi who suffered a rectal blowout when his friends put the nozzle of an air compressor up his bum and turned it on and inflated it, and it just destroyed his colon, his bowels. They all blew up.
My God.
Let's see. He had to have his rectum exploded. His entire bowel had to be removed. Apparently, the airflow from an air compressor is at least 100 times higher than would be considered safe for colonoscopy, resulting in injuries which are normally confined to battlefields, is what they say.
What goes on battlefields? I mean, Game of Thrones, I could see them shoving air compressors up their butts every
people
5
get
minutes.
disemboweled on battlefields all the time.
Oh my God! But how? Like, what did they think would happen when they stuck?
Well, this is the man whose friend subjected him to the injury he said he had multiple colonic perforations. The doctors found fecal matter among other internal organs, like in every organ of his body. It just exploded and was in every organ. It's called barotrauma, and barotrauma, although rare, occurs when the pressure inside a body tissue is higher than the area outside it, which causes it to burst. The air pumped into the anus, example, would travel straight into the bowel and inflate the organ like a balloon until it couldn't withstand the pressure anymore, and it ruptured. But this isn't the first time this has happened. There seems to be a string of these things that are happening. There was a 34-year-old man who worked at a gas station who was taken to a hospital with similar injuries when he tried to stop a burglary, and the burglars held him down and put the air compressor up his butt, blew it up, and that did not end well for him.
That just sounds like the worst.
Yeah, really bad way to go. The third report, a 24-year-old man went to the hospital emergency room with an alleged history of accidental entry. In the third report,
I know it's very exciting. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
In
Slowly.
the third report, a 24-year-old man went to a hospital emergency department with an alleged history of accidental injury to the anus by a compressed air jet. The man said the air nozzle was just 3 inches away from his backside, and it was only on for a second, but he had a swollen, painful torso, and the inside of his abdomen was covered with feces and blood, and they had to remove part of his intestine because of the damage caused by the incident. And I think the lesson is clear here. Don't play around with air compressors, and don't put them up your bum.
Right.
Yeah.
You can put other things up there, but...
Oh, yeah. Well, Darren has a very famous story.
Grotesque story.
Yeah, he has a very grotesque story about a guy who had tried to put his dildo in the microwave, and the inside of the dildo melted, and when he inserted it into his rectum, it exploded, and then it dried or cooled all around his anal walls, and he died as a result of it.
This is the most disturbing. This is
Yeah.
the things that make us go, ow. Not wow.
Let's talk about cannibals next.
Wow. Because
Where do we go from there?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Slime.
Slime. Slime. It's a thing. I know I'm really late to this trend, but a friend came into the office with her daughter this week and was telling us about slime. Kids and slime. Kids love slime as a kind of therapy, as a kind of meditation, and there are slime conventions.
Yeah.
You're like, yes, of course, darling. You know that you get that call.
How perverse.
So you know all about slime conventions.
Well, I used to have slime when I was little, of course. Didn't
I
you?
did too.
Yeah.
Like they had Nickelodeon Gloop or something.
Yeah, the booger one that was like a green.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Here's a question for you guys. When was slime invented? Do you know when it was first marked?
I would say probably 76 or something. No, you
cheated.
No.
I would say before that.
No, it was Mattel launched slime commercially in 1976.
Yeah.
And I remember I had some. It was in a green plastic
Yes,
container.
it was like a garbage can.
But
It was like a
it
green garbage
It
can.
was a thing then, but it wasn't a thing like it's a thing now. Like what girls do, and it seems to be mainly girls, not being sexist,
Really?
but they there's a YouTube video I watched just yesterday. A girl has a slime room, and she has all her different kinds of slime, and then they add things to it. They'll add
Like glitter and...
glitter, yes, sparkles, and little things that you put in cupcakes. Sprinkles. And then they crunch it together, because part of the whole slime experience is the sound it makes when you insert your fingers into it. And what a lot of these videos, they're almost like sonnets, in that they have this format to them. You put your fingers in, pull your fingers out, put your fingers in, pull your fingers out, then fold it over, and then do it again, and then you start stretching it and stretching it and stretching it in front of the microphone. It's really... And it's
tactile,
and
sensual.
Very tactile, and it's partly the feel, I guess, but it's also the sound.
Yo, that's it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, you know, in fact, this week was one of my best friend's birthday, Jordan Papadopoulos, and his boyfriend got him a slime
we all know
kit
Jordan
for his birthday. Well, they don't.
The
why
viewers
not?
out there, Jordan, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Got a slime kit. What is in a slime kit?
I don't know, but do you know JoJo Siwa? She's like the preteen everything. Like, she was on Abby's Dance Club. It's like her branded slime kit. She might be the girl that had the slime
might be.
room.
Let me see who it was that I was watching. I mean, because there is... oh, no, I think I was watching Talisa Tossel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she has 2 slime rooms. And she has a pick and mix slime bar.
Her parents allow her to have 2 slime rooms in her
slime
house?
Rooms. 2 slime. And
That's-
she
that's
Probably
being a
paid
little-
for both of them with her YouTube.
Yes, she tried YouTube once. It didn't work out for her. But then she did slime, and it's just exploded. And there's a convention coming up, the Kawaii Slime Show, coming up in Anaheim on July 6th. I think we should go.
Well, I will go.
That sounds kind of
So,
fun.
And then there's another one, if you missed that, James. There's Slimer's Turf, which is July 20th. These are in LA. And I did a little research. I literally fell into the Google hole thing. And apparently it began in 2016. A group of Thai teenagers started the slime video sensation. And it's become a pillar of Instagram. You know, you can have... I think if you put in hashtag slime, you'll like 600,000 posts. No problem.
That's crazy. Like, what can you do? How many videos can you make about slime?
How can you really sort of stretch that out into
Right, that sounds like one video.
Well,
a whole career? Like, how do you get years worth of videos out of that?
But I'm fascinated by this whole idea that it's calming and that it's therapy and that kids today are overstimulated and that this is some I don't completely get it. And it's sort of related also to ASMR, autosensory meridian response.
But I guess it's...
Do you know what that is?
Where they...
Yeah, they talk like this, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. They do weird little sounds, yeah. But I imagine that, all through the ages, there have been things that calm kids down, whether it's like Cat's Cradle.
Fidget spinners.
A couple
of years ago.
Yeah, sure.
I should just end with a health warning. Overexposure to boric acid, because it's borax. You can make slime, by the way, by combining Elmer's glue and borax dissolved in water. That's how you make slime. You make your own slime.
Yeah.
As these YouTube, Instagram influencer kids do. But the warning is, overexposure to boric acid has the potential to cause developmental and reproductive health effects.
Well, that doesn't sound right. Maybe
Mm.
parents ought to crack down on their kids' use of boric.
Talissa better shut down at least one of the rooms.
Talissa seems right. Okay, number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2, I mentioned this earlier, but you guys didn't think. Do you know Rocko's Modern Life?
No.
It was a cartoon on Nickelodeon. It ran from September 93 till November 96. And it used like adult humor and double entendres, kind of like Ren and Stimpy did.
Or Animaniacs, or Pinky and the Brain.
But before that.
Ren and Stimpy.
Joe Murray created the title character. It was for an unpublished comic book series, and he reluctantly pitched the series to Nickelodeon, and they were looking for like edgier cartoonists for their new Nicktoons at the time. And it launched the voice careers of Carlos Alazraqui.
Carlos Alazraqui got his start there.
You
I'll be ding dong.
You say that, but He is the Taco Bell Chihuahua.
Oh.
He is Mr. Weed on Family Guy.
I don't know what that means.
He did Phineas and Ferb, Fairly Odd Parents. He was Deputy James Garcia on Reno 911, if y'all watch
Clearly versatile.
Well, and then also Tom Kenny, who played Heifer on Rocko's Modern Life, he was Carl and Johnny Bravo.
Sure.
And the Powerpuff Girls, Carl, but he was SpongeBob. He went on to be SpongeBob.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in fact, when this show shut down, a lot of the people moved over to SpongeBob.
Wow. Because do you know how old SpongeBob is?
20.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just this year, recently, I think last month, celebrating his 20th birthday.
Doesn't it seem as if SpongeBob has been around since the dawn of creation?
Right.
Well, certainly since the millennium. And you know what? Have you seen? I mean, I must have watched every single episode.
I've never watched an episode.
It is okay. I'll trade you. I'll watch Game of Thrones if you watch SpongeBob.
I love SpongeBob.
I think SpongeBob's going to win this one.
Yeah. But yeah, I bet it is very similar in like they have it's like humor for adults and for kids. The reason I'm talking about it is there's a new movie like set in 2018 or 19 called Static Cling that it was announced a couple of years ago, but it finally has it's going to premiere on Netflix like in the middle of 2019, and
What's it about?
well, it's Rocko going through like new, it's
And people know who this Rocko
So
is?
Rocko's back.
yeah, Rocco is
But
back.
people know
and-
who this Rocko is 40 years later, 30 years later, 20 years later.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. Like I used to watch it all the time. Like
Okay.
Okay, well, it doesn't have a release date yet, but you can watch the trailer on the Wow Report.
yep, I'll post it.
Thank you very much. That'd be great. Okay, we're going to take our last break and then reveal the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. We've been counting down the top 10 things that make us go, wow. We have reached the epic number one reveal. I'm sure no one has been able to guess what it is.
Number 1.
DragCon!
Yes! This weekend, this Memorial Day weekend, guys, DragCon 2019 at the LA Convention Center. You can get your tickets at RuPaul's
DragCon.com
Thank
or
you.
at the door.
Yeah, but you still have to do them on your phone, by the way.
Oh, you
still have
do?
to buy them on your phone, but that's easy.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah,
people
yeah.
there who can help you.
Totally, yeah. But this one's going to be the biggest one
What have
yet,
we got?
right?
Absolutely, yes.
We're even having panels on Friday night.
Panels on Friday night, starts on Friday, 3 days. I believe James St. James is going to be there.
It's my first time having a booth, and it is a lot of work. I don't know if you realize how much these queens put into it every time.
Well, it's like one of their biggest weekends.
Yeah, and they make a lot of money, and there's some queens get 5 and 6 booths, and they have interior designers come in and do it, make it Moroccan fantasy or whatever. It is. I have a step and repeat. I have this fabulous little pin here.
Now I want that.
This pin is-
it's
yeah.
my dancing James St. James enamel pin because the kids love enamel pins.
But it moves.
It moves. Yes, it's got a movable part, so it does a little chicken dance like I tend
And
to
it's
do.
in a pussy bow.
And it's in a pussy bow. I also have some other pins. I have a welcome to my face pin. I have a step and repeat. I have some T-shirts. I have 8x10 pictures. I have Party Monster books. I have Freak Show books. I've got lots of stuff. I'm booth 1011. You've got to come and see me.
Well, so are you going to be taking photos with fans and stuff?
Yes, with my step and repeat.
What are you going to be wearing?
Well, that's just it. I have to have 3 outfits, 3 makeup looks. I mean, it's you can't just walk into DragCon. I mean, you have to. It takes literally like 3 months of planning to get it all figured out.
And you should also come because you can buy a marvelous sleigh hat, which I think is quite lovely.
I need that.
Slay, CC Slay SLA, LA, DragCon LA, SLAY. Do you know, the other thing is this year for the first time, we are having real live drag race at DragCon.
yeah. I saw
Drag
this.
race with go-karts. You can drive a go-kart. We're calling it RuPaul's Kart Race. Real yeah, go-karts, drag racing. Yes, for real.
I wonder what that line's going to be like.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna, yeah, I hope no one loses control.
Right.
Like,
Well, and there's like lots
else
of big
going
names coming too, like Ali X I saw.
well, right, we got a lot of performances on the TikTok main stage. They're our sponsors this year. Black Audio, Ali X, Penelope, Jean, Soju, and more.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Are you just going to be at your booth the whole time, James? Or are you
I'm doing
spread your wings?
I'm doing a panel with Frank DeCaro has a book about drag in
yes.
It's really fun. It's the history of drag in television.
combing through the big wigs of drag.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And Tempest du Jour is on the cover.
Oh yeah, that's true. And but Drew Droege and there's a whole bunch of other people on the panel with me.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, so
That'll be a good one. Go see
that'll be a
one.
fun one. And then I'm also, I don't know, I think I have some other little tricks and surprises planned. We'll see what happens.
There's also going to be live.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good.
Brolaska returns. Adore exclusive VIP performance.
Fun.
And
I love-
bearing the headline here, RuPaul, first time ever, DJing the main stage.
Oh,
That's
wow.
fine. Ru
J.
That's what we should call
I love
it.
Ru J.
Ru is such a good, fun DJ.
Amazing.
She's
DJ.
done like several of our holiday parties, and
She
it is
did
really
the Met
fun.
Gala, and now she's doing DragCon.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I think that's all we have time for. It'd be lovely to see you all at DragCon. And,
Get James's pen.
Well, there's only 90 of them available. It's a
Well,
limited
89 after I get mine.
edition.
I should just tell you also, it's May 30th, right? Is the finale.
Mhm, that's right.
Yeah. RuPaul's Drag Race, Thursdays, 9 p.m., the finale. Thanks for tuning into the WoW Report on Radio Andy SiriusXM. Listen anytime on the Sirius Radio app or watch anytime on the WoW Report. And also, if you can't come to DragCon, come see us at our store on Hollywood Boulevard. RuPaul's Star is right outside. We're on Hollywood Boulevard. Same time, same place next week, right?
Yep.
Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow.